Good day to you. Today I want to address a topic of what speaks inside of you. There is an inner voice that you, whether you know or not, you listen to, that decides your decisions. And what has formed that inner voice? That is the subject I want to take it up. Your inside is always speaking a report. Is there a way to improve the report you hear from your insides, the speech inside of you? How is it? So there are three things with which we always struggle. They are written into us. Our identity, which means our primary belonging, not what we cultivate. We say cultivate an identity, not that, the primary belonging, that identity. Secondly, our worth and value, and the things for which we hope to add value, things that we think we can add value. Thirdly, what we really live for, the purpose and the significance we get out of what we do. So first one is the belonging. Second one is what we think of our intrinsic worth and procedures we do to keep adding value to ourselves. Thirdly, what is it that makes our life really? That's called significance. So I want to look at the story that is current. There were a group of people called the shepherds, one of the lowliest, badly employed, or a group of people who were necessary for running society, but they were at the lowest rung in a society run with agriculture and animal husbandry. They were at the lowest rung. So they squabbled, they quarreled, they stole, they were dishonest. Their witness was never admitted even in a court in the country, because they were considered not reliable at all. They had no status in society. So when people are treated like that, they begin to believe like that. But to them came this glad tidings. The Greek for it is good news, or euanglion. Euanglion. That's how you pronounce Greek. You have been hearing Greek these days because of alpha, delta, alpha, gamma, alpha, beta, gamma, delta. The variants. But euanglion is the good news. And then it was said to them, among people who have favor, a peace will come to rest. So we battle these two. What is our internal speech saying about us? Favored, well-treated, or not? Now, children begin this early, even from the mother's womb. Children begin to feel how they are treated. So even when we were in medical faculty, I am Dr. Lalith Mendis. My last substantive post was as head of Department of Pharmacology. Today's subject is not about pharmacology. If you need some clips on early management of COVID and so on, please send me a WhatsApp to my WhatsApp number 076 or +94 76 313 4800. And you can get my app, which has now 296 season and reason and science clips. Reason and science clip. My app is Golden Nuggets. Dr. Lalith Mendis. You can download it from Google or from App Store. So what children begin to hear the internal report of how they are treated from very young days, even from the mother's womb. They have perception of how they are treated even from the mother's womb. So there's a thing called maternity deprivation syndrome, which we knew from our medical faculty days. Very old concept, which means how the mother feels treated affects the physical well-being of the child. And affects, now we know it affects the emotional well-being of the child. Now we know ADHD and other syndromes are how the brain has responded in the mother's womb to social circumstances the child meets. Now a child keeps forgiving parents till about the age of 8. She interprets everything that happens to her in the light of good report, because her inside has a God script written, how her life will turn out to be, what to expect. So children expect the best. Children hope for the best. Children think the best of themselves and their parents. So that is the way children are. So we are told to turn and be like a child. That will be a good turn. So what is this thing about turn and be like a child? Learning with wonder, learning, believing it is true, and learning with the expectation of returning the best, and thinking well of those who are handling you. That is a child till the age of 8. But from the age of 8 onwards, a child begins to record injuries. So you have to be very careful after the age of 8 that you don't keep, now even before the age of 8, even in the mother's womb, severe injuries they will feel. Emotional, intellectual, social security injuries. So now we know that IQ is not the only thing. The SQ, the sociological, the societal quotient, then the emotional quotient, and I would say the spiritual quotient, how the child developed in the spirit, are all very important. But at the age of 8, they begin to record the injuries. Then by the time they are crossing 12, they are conducting court. So they will mark you down or mark you up. They will remember the bad things and they will bring accusations. So you have to remember that after 12, you are not dealing anymore with the child who always forgave. You know how children are when parents are squabbling, they come and hug you. If they feel mother is down, they come and give you a kiss and try to play with you just to get you up. That is because children have a good speech in their inside for a long period of time. But by the time they become adults, the report they heard inside them, a good report, is now diminished. They begin to hear injuries, damage, bad memories. And the thing about bitter memories is that you remember bitter memories deeper and longer than sweet memories. You can check this out with the 4 tastes of the tongue. Tongue recognizes 4 tastes because for each taste there's a different receptor. So you have sweet, you have sour, you have salty, and you have bitter. Now guess what's the taste that you remember most and lasts long on your tongue? Bitter. That is because there are more bitter receptors than other receptors. Now you know when you want to taste something, you put the tip of your tongue out because the tip of the tongue has most number of sweet receptors. When sour gets into you, you begin to feel the sourness on the sides of the tongue. And when something bitter gets to you, feel the bitterness in the middle of the tongue, a lot of receptors. Similarly, brain has a place that gathers up bitter information. It is called amygdala. It goes to the hypothalamus and the hippocampus. So one bitter experience is stored there so that we will avoid the next bitter experience. When the pattern is coming, you recognize. But when repetitive bitter things happen, the bitter becomes your driving force and you're not thinking, executive, empathic, prefrontal cortex, initiation, navigation, successful and conclusion is not the expectation of this style. We are designed by a good shepherd that we will have a initiation, navigation, good report, good, successful and conclusion, good reward, and look back and say it was good. That's what serotonin does. Oxytocin helps in it, and you end up with GABA, feeling well treated. So the child must feel well treated, because the child one day becomes an adult, and that adult will be saying, I am not treated well at all, or I am all the time treated badly, and my expectation is always that I will be done for, I will not get my place in life. So that's the internal speech. The shepherds were a group like that, but to them came this good news of joy for all people. They were included in it, and the Greek for good news is euangelion, good news, a good message. Then it was told them the effect of this would be favor the effect of this, those who accept it, would be favor, well-pleasing nature inside you, a well-pleased nature, and around you peace in all things that happens. So just practice or think of this: well-pleasing inside, well-pleased inside, and peace around in everything that you do: workplace, family, finances, health, peace, good immunity, and so on. Because the good news, if that's my right hand, good news, and then the inside story to be brought up to be well-pleased and well-pleasing. This is my suggestion in this season, that we remember this good news as changing the inside story of our life. For you to ask for a change or consider a change, you must check out what is your inside story before going for an interview. What is your inside story about your childhood? What is your inside story about how you developed as a youth? What is your inside story about school and teachers? What is your inside story about transitioning from study to work? What is your inside speaking? So the offer is that well-pleasing, meaning eudokia, that is the inside speech, that the report becomes good report about yourself in your heart, and you relate to another carrying a good report and expecting dignity to be treated with dignity. So that's the good news. That's the change good news brings. Good news changes the inside report into a good report about yourself, your ability, how you have been treated, the skills you have. So I started by saying there are three things: the sense of belonging that should have been with your parents primarily came from the one who designed us and sent us into this world, the Good Shepherd, God our Father. So inside us is a son and a daughter who has been designed to be a son and a daughter, to produce sons and daughters. So we don't produce skilled workmen, we don't produce skilled professionals. Humankind is designed to receive fatherhood, motherhood, and transmit, and then respond with sonship and daughterhood, and then transmit fatherhood and motherhood to another generation. So we are into generations that begets progeny. We are not begetting smart sportsmen or brilliant scholars, which they may become. But we are basically molding and modeling and birthing another generation in sonship and daughtership, if I may. So this is the speech that needs to come, that the good news is giving us a good report about how we have done in life. So this is the picture I have. In life we had a God scope or a script given, but it got many bad data entries. And as I said, the bitter entries get generally marked with red letters. You remember those days when there used to be red ink marking of scripts, and even today there is red ink marking of scripts. Or maths, when something is wrong, it's marked. Maybe teacher got very angry and marked it very hard, and it went into many pages in the days of the fountain pen. The red ink marks that went through because they were marking the wrongs, writing the wrongs, deducting marks. Now that's how exams go. But with the Good Shepherd, life doesn't go like that. Life goes by opportunities where he erases the bad data and enters what it could be, what it should be. This is the chance we get with the good news getting imprinted. Good news getting imprinted in our hearts, in our habits, in our habitudes, and in our day-to-day life. Good news imprinted in us begins to produce good reports in us and through us. This is how life is changed by good news. So I was making a plea for children, that for parents to be careful that children, before they become 12 and begin to conduct court with evidence, they supply themselves. Their mom is again doing the same thing, and then they begin to retort. I have a series called Teen Tones. So if you need those posts, please send me a WhatsApp to 0763134800. I will send you the post of how to handle teen tantrums. Don't ignore them. There's a way to respond to them. Don't give in to them. Don't ignore them, but manage them, handle them. Teen tantrums. I call them teen tones here. So this little talk is about you checking out how your inside is behaving. Are you conducting court against parents? Are you conducting court against seniors at work or wherever? Then are you feeling a sense of badly treated? So here is our rating. We feel hurt, the 1H. The 2H is we feel humiliated. 3H is we feel horror. 4H is we feel hate. And 5H is again and again the same thing happens. And there's hesitation. And we don't want to do anything for anybody. And sometimes we call it hexes because the same bad things keep happening. I call it the 5H syndrome. So when you lose belonging, you get afraid. That's what happens. When you lose belonging, sense of direction, you get afraid. You have to look after yourself. 2, you begin to lose direction. You don't know which way to proceed. This is how sheep get lost. The sheep sees a greener pasture and moves there. Then he sees another patch, he thinks it's more green, and he moves to the east. Then he sees another patch more green and he moves to the west. After about 2-3 moves, he loses his GPS orientation because it's not very good in sheep, like in carnivores, and he's lost. And because he has lost his shepherd. It happens to man also, losing direction. So thirdly, you lose your sense of protection. 2, you lose your direction. 3, you don't know whether you have enough or not. How much is enough? Your inside goes on saying not enough. How do I make it enough? Because it's only the good shepherd who makes you to know, he is my shepherd, I shall not want. Otherwise, having much, you can be having lack. You may be treated very well, your parents may have provided much, and you might have worked very hard, but you don't know how much is enough. So that's third speech is in the area of provision. Fourth speech is in the area of value and worth. What am I worth? So sometimes people keep taking degree after degree or beauty courses or whatever just to add worth through beauty, worth through speech, worth through elocution, worth through passing examinations, adding more degrees, education. Now these are not bad things. But when you have to do one and again another, and you do not know how rewarded you feel at the end of one enterprise, then this goes on and on, because your inside speech has not changed, though you are doing many things outside, to your image to improve. The third thing that we struggle with is significance. What worth, what value is there? What importance is the word I'm looking for. What importance is there in the thing I am doing? What is the contribution I am making to anyone? So children also, young people need to be affirmed in their contribution. So I call it 3A Fitch rating: affirmed, appreciated, and accredited. Affirm means affirm it. Appreciate is just cheer. Accreditation is you say, this was good, this can improve. So children must always carry the motive of this can improve, I can improve. That's how our default mode network works. We work with salience, with dopamine, and it comes down. Then serotonin looks back and says, that was good, but I can improve in these areas. Always inside speech, I can improve. Not that I did it the best, I know to do how, take it or leave it, I don't care. Who cares? Those words abound. And children's court conducting nature comes earlier now because of the way the digital screen is set up, to set them up to a pattern of behavior. So I want to finally address that pattern of behavior that is facilitated by the digital screen. There is a generation that has been living with the digital screen. There is a generation that diminishes father and does not bless the mother. So it's about a fracture with the parental generation. There is a generation who is pure in their own eyes and not washed from moral corruption. That is, they say anything we can consume, nothing is any more sacred, or no laws, no boundaries. There is a generation very lofty, their eyes are, their eyelids are raised up in arrogance. I am always right. And their expectation is of more than what parents can prepare. So I'm just asking you what molded you in your inside speech that can go on. There's a generation whose words are like swords and teeth are like knives to devour so that is another, and a generation who devour the poor and the needy. So the weak have no place, might is right, survival of the fittest they have learned, and your language also can grill into them, perform or perish, sink or swim or sink. There's a generation that goes on saying, I am not satisfied, give me some more, give me some more. So this is an inside speech that goes on. I am suggesting that parents please take time with this generation that's so affected by the screen, and by the age of 14 they have definitely decided they will do what peers do, and their pundits will be peers, as you can see with the influencers and the TikTok generation. I'm not speaking derogatorily about them. It's a sociological drift where parents have to address this early, that you win their confidence by a coaching lifestyle of a parent. You can't command and remain aloof. You have to run with them, so to say. You have to play the strokes with them, so to say, using cricket language. Using athletic language, you run with them, run alongside them. So early you begin to mold into them, implant into them the value of someone who comes alongside. Then I told you the 3A Fitch rating, always affirm, always appreciate. Accreditation is when you have affirmed, when you have appreciated, they are willing to listen to your suggestions of improvement. So accreditation is in the language of you can improve in this area. This is this good, you can improve in this area. So with salience we work with dopamine, but when we have to reflect back to look at the reward, serotonin has to come in, will come in. But if the child is on the digital screen, driven by pixels, dopamine does not come down. So they have no sense of how did I do it. What drives them is the momentum of the last hour, the thrill of the last hour, fright, fight, flight of the last hour drives them, kick starts them into the next hour, and they'll do some more of the same stuff, whether it's gambling, pornography, addictions, whatever on the screen or otherwise. That last hour drove them into the next hour. Because amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus works like that, which is called bottom-up regulation. Bottom-up is what is in the past hour, what is in the last day, what is in the last week or 1 year ago comes playing back. The top-down regulation is every hour you have a creative, empathic, well-reflected pattern and strategy. Initiation, navigation, successful and conclusion, good reward. Every hour, even adults should do this timetable every hour. What do I do? You wake up at 6 in the morning. What do I do at 7? It's best written with pencil or black ink on a piece of paper, not a proper journal maybe. I should have said keep a journal. Now you may know what you are doing that day, but write it down. Similarly, you coach your son or daughter, sit with them and say, darling, how do you think the day will go? Shall we write it down? If you can, get them to write it down. More they write down, more they become schooled in their brain tracks. More they are on the digital screen, less they are schooled on the brain track. So it will be repetitive all the time, just like the screen. So this is not a tirade against the screen. This is how you protect the best brain potential while child has to work on the screen or you have to work on the screen. I have done many scripts, many clips on this. So if you want any This is my research area, empathic motor therapy, and how to get your brain tracks at every age functioning to full capacity, avoiding Alzheimer. So if any of these topics interest you, just drop me WhatsApp to +94 76 313 4800, or else you can ask for my app, which is free to download, Golden Nuggets, from Google or App Store. So that's what I have for today, how the good news turns into eudokia, good speech inside you about yourself. Good news brings a good speech about yourself inside you, and your identity, your worth, and your significance begins to be reassessed in a better light. I trust this will be helpful. Thank you for listening.